Rich? Last week we passed a motion to defer consideration of courthouse security.
You want to change the date?
Yeah.
Just reflect it. Yeah.
Okay, don't need a motion?
I don't think you do. It's inherent power of the chair to set the agenda.
Okay.
But you do need to reflect it so the clerk has it down.
All right, we'll do. Like Terry Bertles to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this morning.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the April 24th, 2014 meeting of the Shawnee County Board of Commissioners. My name is Bob Archer. I represent District 3 and currently serve as chair of the commission alongside Commissioner Kevin Cook, who represents District 2, and Commissioner Shelley Bueller, who represents District 1.
Good morning.
Good morning. First item, please.
First item is item 2 under unfinished business. Number 1, consider approval of request to submit a grant application to the Kansas Department of Wildlife, Parks and Tourism for a Land and Water Conservation Fund grant to construct a perimeter walk around the Shawnee North Community Park at a preliminary estimated project cost of $275,000 with a 50% match obligation. Parks and Recreation.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Knight, Parks and Recreation. There was several questions that the Commission had when this was on a week ago. I believe I visited with each of you and hopefully have addressed some of those issues. So we're back here today. This is the funding source for this is the parkland dedication fee. That's a mechanism that was set up by the city of Topeka and transferred as part of the merger, and it has restrictions on where the money could be spent, those type of things. And Shawnee North is the only park within that district where this money can be spent. The only thing I might adjust to this is instead of a flat dollar amount that we use in that fund, is to expend all the money from that fund before we go to some of the other funding sources. Had several conversations with Audit Finance Director Betty Greiner, those type of things. Be happy to answer any other questions you may have.
Questions or comments?
Commissioner?
Yes,
if I may.
Commissioner Cook.
Initially, I had concerns regarding the surface that the trail might be composed of, given that this is a application for water conservation fund. Having visited with John and his staff, I'm confident with the source that's being used. I'm also confident with the funding sources, and I would note that this is not coming from our general funds. So when we talk about budgetary constraints within Parks and Recreation or manpower or those sorts of other budget questions that come up, these are funds that have to be used for this purpose. And so we're not taking this out of the general fund, and so I would support this measure at this time for the grant application.
And it is time sensitive too.
Yes, the deadline for this fund is the 30th.
Okay. Yes, Commissioner.
Question. Thank you, Commissioner Archer. John, the parkland, the fund that you're actually taking the dollars out of, how are those funds put into the fees? Where do those fees come from? They're not from the general fund, but where do they?
My rear view mirror
You see Betty.
is working pretty good, but we also have Terry Bertles here that can answer
Good.
some detailed questions.
Good.
Yeah, and Terry would probably be the better source of where I can tell you the big picture. The big picture is as a development is developed, a certain portion has to be either given in land or in money for a park land area. As we've already said, it has to be for the use of the park land. It can't be, for replacements, repairs, maintenance, even a building. It has to be for the land itself. The majority of this money came over from the city as part of the merger. We do continue to get money from the city on this. It's a relatively small amount. I think for 13 we received, I think it was 17,000 in total. So they're not large amounts, but we do keep track of it. There are 7 districts. We keep track of the balance by district. It has to be spent within that district. So we do keep track of it. This is the largest, the district that has the largest balance. The balance is currently $116,280.79. So,
And you'd also identified an additional way to fund the rest that John needed for the,
yes, we do have COP funds from prior COPs that had been designated for Parks and Rec use that had not been spent. The project is complete and there was some monies left over. So my recommendation is that we use those funds to cover the remaining portion of this. So no general funds will be used at all to fund this.
thanks.
Commissioner.
Yes, Commissioner Cook?
Commissioner Bueller, given some of the discussion that has transpired, that does remind me that in speaking with Betty Griner as well as John Knight, there was a question that came up. The Shawnee County North facility is in need of an elevator. That facility is being utilized by senior programs. It was the old Shawnee County Poor Farm going back to the Depression, and so it's been a building that's been utilized for many, many years. And when it was constructed, it was not constructed with our current ADA compliance in mind. And so at some point, the Shawnee County Commission will need to look at putting in an elevator for that facility so that we can utilize it to its highest and greatest abilities and to remain compliant with ADA. We had looked at whether or not these parkland fees could be used for an elevator, but given the constraints that's put upon them, we cannot.
Exactly.
So, just to let everybody know that at some point
Right.
there may come up a issue with John asking for us to look at putting in an elevator, and just in case the question comes up, why didn't we use these fees for that elevator instead of a trail? It's because of the restrictions that are placed on that fund.
That's right.
So,
Okay, good to
Okay.
know. Okay,
Okay, do I hear a motion?
it was a motion.
No? Okay.
I'll second.
Motion made to approve the grant application by Commissioner Cook and seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you, John. Next item, please.
Item 3, consent agenda.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made to approve the consent agenda by Commissioner Bueller and seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item 4, new business. A, County Clerk. Number 1, consider all voucher payments.
Mr. Chairman, this morning we have vouchers that total $381,357.37. The big items that are in this voucher are holding accounts of $68,173.66, the Lake Shawnee Golf Management Fee of $27,750. Under allotments or allocations, there's a Westar for $35,228. A lot of small expenditures, but one that if you total them up, the Shunder of the Court, Shawnee County appointed counsel of 21 attorneys, that makes up $62,675, and the district attorney has training of $7,921. Those make up half of the expenditures. The remainder are really small amounts, and so I would move for approval of the vouchers as presented.
Second.
Motion made to approve the vouchers as presented by Commissioner Cook and seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item A2, consider correction orders.
I'll make a motion to approve the correction orders as presented.
Second.
Motion made to approve correction orders by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item B, corrections. Number 1, consider approval of request to solicit bids for inmate and juvenile commissary services.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Cole, Department of Corrections. Today is before you is a request to solicit bids and to be able to solicit specifications for our commissary services at the Department of Corrections. We have had a long withstanding good relationship with Keith. We've had a commissary contract in place since 2009. And we've done really well. We have generated revenue, but we do believe with the changes in the commissary industry and corrections, a lot of new vendors, we do believe it's responsible to the taxpayers that we solicit bids and to see what else is out there. But this is just a request to solicit bids, and I'd happy to answer any questions you may have.
Are there questions or comments?
I have none. I would make a motion to approve the request to solicit bids.
Second.
And I want to commend you for always looking out for opportunities to save tax dollars.
Thank you.
That's what this is about, and I appreciate that, Brian. Motion made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item B2, consider authorization and execution of contract C-168-2014 for an emergency purchase for repair work to the juvenile detention facility's roof in an amount of $27,900.
Good morning, everyone. Eve Kendall, Department of Corrections. Before you have a request to expedite the repair of our JDC roof. Last night's rains probably didn't help it much, which is why we're in front of you to hopefully get it fixed a little bit sooner. We've been working with Ms. Beck and Ms. Griner to make sure we're being responsible stewards, and we are ready to fix the roof with your approval.
And this is covered by property and casualty insurance.
Yes, sir.
It's just a matter of getting through that process of claim submission and adjudication to get paid.
Yes, sir. The claim submission has been submitted, and we have received a partial check already.
Okay.
We need to do the repair, and then we submit the invoice, and they will submit the rest of the payment.
Okay. How much?
All of it will be covered through the insurance claim.
All right. So no out-of-pocket for Shawnee County.
No, sir.
Okay. Are there other questions
No
or comments?
questions.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Archer and seconded by Commissioner Cook to approve the contract. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Eve. Next item, please.
Item B3, consider approval of request for out-of-state travel for one member of the management team to attend the Annie E. Casey Foundation Conference on the Juvenile Detention Alternatives Initiative with reasonable expenses paid for by the foundation or by the Kansas Department of Corrections Juvenile Services Division's grant funds.
Good morning, Commissioners. Angela McCarty, Shawnee County Department of Corrections. This conference is the annual JDAI Intersite Conference, and so this is for one member of our management team to attend the conference. This is a mission-critical conference for us to continue moving our JDAI efforts forward with juvenile justice reform in our county. So there will be 2 people going from Shawnee County, and then 2 from every other site in Kansas, and then there will be 5, I think, going from the Department of Corrections. And the entire conference is paid for through the foundation, through the Annie Casey Foundation. So.
Thank you for using the magic words,
Mission
mission
critical.
critical and not available out within the state. And with that, I'll make a motion to approve the out-of-state travel.
Commissioner?
Yes.
I would second, but I would ask for 2 requests. One would be that we receive a report when you come back as follow-up. The other is, I would ask that you look at flying out of Topeka if it is cost-effective. And I would ask that, all of our department heads, as we're talking about out-of-state travel, try to look at using Topeka as much as possible and feasible if it's cost-effective. I'll be talking about that later during administrative communications. But that would be the 2 requests I would have, and I would second.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, Commissioner. And I would think as a general rule, anytime money is spent for travel, out-of-state, in-state, any kind of training opportunity, a trip report should be performed and given to the commissioners and anybody else that may benefit from that information. So I appreciate that. Okay. Motion made by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank
you, Angela. Next item, please.
Item B4, consider authorization and execution of contract C-169-2014 with Stericycle for medical waste disposal services at a minimum cost of $19 per pickup.
Good morning, Commissioners. Again, I brought everybody with me today. They can do this much better than I can. But this is a request for approval for waste disposal services. We had an agreement for many years, and then it expired. The company that we work with, we had a tremendous relationship. They just continue to do the same price, but with the cot that we just didn't have an agreement in place, so we have to get that agreement in place and continue to do that. That's the hazardous waste at the jail.
Okay. Questions or comments?
I have none. Move approval of the contract.
Second.
Motion made to approve the contract by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you again, Brian. Next item.
Item C, County Counselor, number 1, consider acceptance of the Administrative Review Committee report regarding Big Heart Pet Brands, formerly known as Del Monte Foods, Inc., and set a public hearing date of May 5th, 2014, to consider a tax exemption.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jim Prowl, Assistant County Counselor. As stated, Big Heart Pet Brands, who is formerly Del Monte Foods, has completed construction of a new facility and an expansion of an existing facility, and has since filed an application for an economic development tax exemption. Part of our procedure, we set up an administrative review committee to review the proposed exemption and make a non-binding recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners. What I'm asking for today is that the board accept our report of our recommendation and set this exemption, proposed exemption, for a public hearing on May 5th, 2014. And you'll receive the proposed exemption resolution along with the application and other information prior to the public hearing.
Questions, comments?
I have none.
I'll move for the acceptance of the report and that we have a tax exemption hearing scheduled for Monday, May the 5th of 2014.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook to approve, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Jim. Next item.
Thank you.
Item D, Register of Deeds. Number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C-170-2014 with Corporation Service Company for e-recording with no expense to Shawnee County.
Good morning, Commissioners. Becky Neosi, Register of Deeds. This is just to add an e-recording vendor. We currently have 2. Makes our office more efficient if we have more e-recordings. No mail to open, no scanning to do, just faster and convenient. We don't have to send the documents back. Better for our customers. It's my desire to increase our e-recordings. Right now, we currently do about half. We have 2 vendors. One joined us in September, and the other one's been with us a long time, so be happy to answer any questions.
Questions or comments about the contract?
Commissioner?
Yes, Commissioner Cook.
I had the opportunity to speak with Pat Oblander yesterday about this, to go through if there were any security concerns with the company, if we had any concerns with the infrastructure that were not. Also met with Betty Griner regarding the costs and fees, and so I don't have any concerns at this time. All my questions have been answered, and I'm glad that we're adding one more service to the mix, and so I'd move for approval.
Motion made.
I'll second, and
Yes,
just to
Commissioner.
clarify, this is no cost to the county, correct?
Right, the client pays a fee to use this convenience, and also the recording fees are placed into the account with the vendor. The vendor electronically will deposit those into our account in the evening. They do business with some larger banks, Wells Fargo, Quicken Loans, Bank of America, Chase. So I think this will increase our volume of e-recordings. So.
Good. Thank you for pointing that out, Commissioner.
Oh, and sorry, one more point.
Go ahead.
The fee varies. It could be anywhere from $1.50 to $5, depending on the volume that that bank does with CSC. So Bank of America is one of their larger customers. They pay maybe $1 something.
Ah.
A local bank that doesn't do very much business would pay around $5. So.
Okay. Again, thanks
Just
for
wanted to
pointing
share
that out. Motion made to approve the contract by Commissioner Cook and seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you,
you.
Becky. Next item, please.
Item E, Parks and Recreation. Number 1, consider applications for the Civitan Day Camp and the Central Park Fun Zone Camp to become a Kansas Department of Children and Families provider.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Knight, Parks and Recreation. Several of our preschools and our summer camp operations have already gone through this process. This, of being able to, it's an application that we submit to the state so that we are eligible to receive reimbursements for low income people to attend our camps. These are just two more. I brought it to the Commissioners. This is just an application. I'm not sure the county commissioners need to see this, but I thought you guys would like to see this, to know that what we're doing and the way to get as many people into our programs as we can. Be happy to answer any other questions you may have.
Questions or comments?
I have none.
Okay.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Bueller and seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye, opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item E2, consider authorization and execution of contract C-171-2014, change order number 1 to contract C-234-2013 with Pros Consulting, changing the scope of services for development of a Parks and Recreation Master Plan to include the review of systems and structural integrity of a number of buildings managed by the Parks and Recreation Department with an increase in cost of $8,650.
Probably the next most important line that didn't get put on there is the Shawnee County Parks and Rec Foundation will pay those costs. The entire master plan is being paid for by non-general fund dollars. The building maintenance fund is paying half, and the Shawnee County Parks and Recreation Foundation has said that they would pick up the remainder. The main reason for this change is once we got into the process, I was uncomfortable with the level of detail we were going to receive on some of our buildings. I wanted them to go a little bit farther into depth, and I also, at that time, early on, was considering a little bit less survey of both Abbott and Rice community centers, but since what has gone on, I've added a more thorough investigation of those two community centers. Be happy to answer any other questions you may have.
So that's what we're getting for our money, is a more in-depth analysis of physical plant across Parks and Rec.
Yes.
Okay. And it is being paid for by the foundation, the additional $8,000.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the contract.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Archer to approve the contract, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye, opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item E3, consider authorization and execution of contracts C-172-2014 through 174-2014 with Kansas Department of Health and Environment for 3 KDHE fiscal year 2014 waste tire grants to be used for the purpose of installing rubber fall surfaces under and around the animals in Animal Land in Gage Park, totaling $28,544.99 with a Shawnee County match obligation of $28,544.99.
Commissioners, a few weeks ago, we asked for permission to apply for these grants. We broke them down into 3 separate grants, hoping to get 1, possibly 2. We, at that time, estimated that the maximum amount that we would, the county may be responsible for was $37.5. We received all 3 of the grants, but I would like to say, too, that we're able to lower that other number down to what the county's responsible for, be $28,000 and some change. The rubberized fall zones at Animal Land in Gage Park, it's just a needed thing for safety for kids using those type of things. And this is a way, by using our building maintenance fund, which is user fees that have gone into that to fund that program. That is a way that we're able to get twice as much of the rubberized surface down and make a big impact for the amount of money that we'd have to put out. Be happy to answer any other questions you may have.
This is standard practice in the industry, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Commissioner,
I'll let-
Commissioner Bueller.
Thanks, Commissioner Archer. What's the surface under there now, John?
There is some rubberized surface, I believe, and if you see Terry Bertles get up behind me, it's because I might have been slightly off here, but wow, here he comes. Let's not even try this, I'm just going to give it to Terry.
We have a mostly rubberized poured in place, but it's old and it's been peeled up and coming apart. The new surface we have say it's new and improved, we'll have, the methods have been improved. You go in with a coarse base and a fine surface, and in that fine surface, we can add color and other things to make it blend well with the animals that they're representing.
Okay.
Yes, Commissioner?
John, earlier today, we talked about use of parkland fees and looking at COP money. Are there parkland fees that we can utilize for Gage Park, or are there COP funds that we can utilize for this? I think that it's needed. I mean, all commissioners I hear that are saying this is industry practice, these are needed for the park, this is a safety concern, but are there funds that we can use before we get to general funds?
These aren't general fund items. These are monies that come in from predominantly now the Forbes Golf Course, which we're restricted from putting that money into the general fund. So it's user fee based, and it goes into a special fund, and it can't. Go ahead. I see Betty. I'm trying to let her explain the financial part.
Well, I do not believe that parkland acquisition funds could be used for this. I believe, Terry, oh, there he is. He's still here. I believe this would be looked as a replacement of that surface.
Yeah.
And so I do not believe that parkland acquisition funds could be used for this. Now this is not general funds that he is talking about using at this point.
All right. Given those two things, then I would move for approval of the purchase of the rubberized surface.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook to approve the contracts, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye, opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you, John.
Thank you,
Next item,
Commissioner.
please.
Item 5, Administrative Communications. Number 1, report on upcoming events, Parks and Recreation.
Quickly, I'd like to announce that we had talked about deferring the RFP process for courthouse security until May the 5th. And I think this issue is so important that I'm going to postpone the deferral to May the 15th to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to do their homework and give it serious consideration. So I did want to mention that will be considered on May the 15th, 2014. So I apologize, but go ahead now, Randy. Next item.
Administrative Communications, report on upcoming events, Parks and Recreation.
Okay.
Good morning, Commissioners. Randy Luby, Parks and Recreation. I think you're glad to see me because I never ask for money. I just report on what we're doing in the next month and all the fun things that are out there for the public. We have on May 1st, next week, is our 8th annual Touch a Truck program that we have at Gage Park at Blaisdell parking lot. We have over 25 trucks and machinery coming in the area, preschools, daycares, and all that come over. It's a free fun day in the park for them from 10 to 11:30. May 14th, we have the preschool track and field meet up at Shawnee North at 6 p.m. It's a fun event for all the kids in the area. Again, it's they come out and they just have a good time with all the track and field events. We have seasonal facilities will be open this month. The mini training carousel will open daily on May 19th, although it has already opened on weekends, and we've already had some of our best days in the history in the last few weekends of, I think since the weekends have been so nice, everybody's anxious to get out. Gage Park has just been packed. All the pool facilities in the marina will open Memorial Weekend, May 14th, and will be open throughout the summer. And we have the 2014 Wheelchair Softball Challenge with Kansas Accessory Sports and Parks and Recreation partnering together to raise funds for the Kansas Accessible Sports. There's wheelchairs available if you want to come out and play. It's a great event for the entire public. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Randy? Thank you, Randy. Other administrative communications?
Good morning, Dave Sturbins, Emergency Management. My staff all wanted to make sure I come up and told you that we were going to ruin all of the outdoor events this weekend. starting about noon on Saturday. The National Weather Service is pretty serious about these storms coming in. Of course, they've been wrong before, but there is a rowing regatta this weekend, and it's like it always rains when we have those. I can tell you we're getting lots of emails that the excuse me, the storm spotters are gathering just west of here starting Saturdays, and so when the TIV and those vehicles start showing up, we do get a little more nervous. So please be aware of the weather this weekend. Again, we've got a rowing event, we've got proms going on. Somebody said there were like 7 baseball or softball tournaments this weekend, so we're going to have to keep an eye to the sky.
Okay. Thank you, David. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Commissioners. H.R. Cook, Kansas Expo Center, and I would like to thank Dave Sturbins and his staff for keeping us informed on the severe weather. We get emails updated when it starts turning bad. We get them, I think you do too, almost on an hourly basis, because we have 8 events going on this weekend. We too will be, we pay more attention to what Dave's crew says than a lot of times what happens on television. They're pretty accurate because they gather everything. So I wanted to give you a little bit of update on the visit by First Lady Michelle Obama. The Kansas Expo Center is preparing for that visit. We're working very closely with USD 501 and the White House and Secret Service. Plans are underway as we are currently standing here, and as you know, things change with the White House almost on a minute-by-minute basis. We still are on schedule for Saturday. We are working on cleaning the building. We've done these type of dignitary events before. We're acquiring special rooms, special furniture. We'll be working with emergency management along with the Sheriff's Department, and I'll probably be reaching out hopefully with Public Works and Parks and Rec to make the grounds a little more presentable, and possibly reach out to one of those 2 departments to maybe assist me with some potholes that I might have in my parking lot. So with that, we are working with USD 501 almost on an hourly basis preparing for this event. It's going to be a great day.
I think a lot of times the community doesn't realize what a gathering place the Expo Center is. I recall the funeral services for Gauguin and Atherley a year or so ago, and it just reminds us all, and the event coming up, of what an asset the Expo Center is and what a community gathering place it is. So I'm excited about the First Lady's visit. I think it's going to be a magnificent event.
It's going to be a nice day, and you know, as far as the Expo Center, as far as mass gathering facilities, we're pretty much it for Northeast Kansas. So a lot of communities do not get this type of event because they don't have the facilities to host it, but we're really looking forward to it.
But yeah, I almost did lose my car in one of your potholes
Yeah.
a few weeks ago.
You would have hit the goose.
Yeah, that was yeah, that needs to be addressed. So, Commissioner.
Well, and to follow up on that, Commissioner Bueller and I on Tuesday were both at the Farm to You that's put on by the Extension Office.
Commissioner
And-
Archer was too.
Oh, so yeah, you were
He
there.
was
at a
there.
different-
We were there at the
on
same-
early
yeah,
shift.
yeah,
You were the
yes,
early
yes.
shift.
The
So
10:30 shift.
as we served 1,000 second graders at the Expo Center, and again, a great facility, but, you know, like you said, I think I may have spotted some geese in some of the potholes, and some of them are larger than others. And anything that we can do from our departments, if we have the ability to help participate, even on an emergency Band-Aid fix. I know that the Expo Center is coming up for discussions on the sales tax, but this is probably something that can't wait until a sales tax. And it's something we need to, as a commission, address sooner rather than later.
I kind of joked with HR that who threw the bread out there to attract the geese to
No, we
the,
really did have
but
geese
they really
in
did,
potholes.
yeah. He has a picture, so, yeah.
Yeah.
But a couple weeks ago, there were several pictures in the paper and area high school kids celebrating their prom, and I think 4 out of the 5 pictures had some connection with the Expo Center and the Expo Center grounds. So, you know, Topeka Public Schools are celebrating their graduation, but there are numerous graduations there this whole week that weekend, correct?
Yes, we do all three 501 schools on Saturday and then all three rural schools
Right.
on Sunday. So we'll have close to 30,000 people come through the
Yeah.
doors in 2 days. So even if the First Lady wasn't here, we're still showcasing our facility and our city to a lot of people that don't come here. To
right.
help celebrate the accomplishments of our youth.
It's kind of your annual spring cleanup anyway,
Yes,
correct?
yes it is.
Yeah.
So, but I wanted to give you that update. We're really looking forward to showcasing Topeka
Yeah,
for the nation.
Agree.
thank you, HR. And yeah, I was reminded of the Farm to You, and I don't think there's anything more interesting than a 7-year-old kid's face when they come up and they see pizza there. I mean, that was, there were a lot of smiles that go around. And that was, we did showcase the Expo Center for that. And we had about 1,000 kids that came through there. And boy, that was
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, Extension Office put that on, mostly
Yeah.
urban children that have never seen a chicken,
That's right.
other than in a box, with breading. Or as a nugget. So, it was the first time that they've ever pet a cow and seen a chicken, so it's
Yeah,
fantastic.
that was well done. Thank you,
It
HR.
was fun, yeah.
Other communications?
Good morning, Commissioners. Mark Hickson, County Appraiser.
Good morning.
A thought occurred to me. We're always looking for more sources of revenue. And goose hunters are always looking for places to lease. So you may want to not rush to fill those potholes quickly.
Don't even go there.
But just a thought. But on a more serious note, I would like to make a timely comment, a response to I think an unfortunate comment that was made in yesterday's Topeka Capital Journal. It was in reaction to the governor's signing of the legislation nullifying the city and county restrictions on guns. And the comment was made that this legislation could create intimidating situations for citizens, such as if they walk into a tax appeal hearing and the tax appraiser, whoever that would be, has a gun on his or her desk. Now, I hesitated to even comment about that because it sounds so absurd in the first place that maybe nobody would pay any attention to it. But I decided that it would be necessary, or I thought it was necessary, to assure all property owners, all taxpayers, that such a scenario would never even occur to me or to any of my staff, regardless of this legislation. The appeals process is a civilized one in which taxpayers and the county appraiser are only interested in finding the fair market value of that property. It's not a hostile situation in which we, as conjured up by this unfortunate analogy, sit there in defense of our value through intimidation. And so I want to make sure that everybody knows that the most powerful weapon they're ever going to find on any of our desks is a pencil. And they don't need to bring a gun to their appeal hearing.
Thank you, Mark. And I read those comments and I thought they were unfortunate and uncalled for also. I agree with you. And I think it is important to tell the public that the appeals process is civil. We do listen. Values are adjusted based on the market of the property, and we do a really good job in the county appraiser's office. So thank you for bringing
Thank you,
that up, and
Commissioner.
I agree with you. I think those comments were unfortunate. So, any other administrative communications?
I do have two. The first is, I think that there are more events than even were listed
Yeah.
previously. There is a 5K run, weather permitting, for the Kansas Legal Aid. We also have the Get Down and Dirty through Keep America Beautiful. They're counting on at least 1,500 or so people that are going to be out on the streets, canvassing, picking up, and bringing their trash to Gage Park, where John will be making sure that it gets to the appropriate places.
We'll be calling Tom.
Yeah. But and then I think that we also have the event out at the Forbes Field for the Combat Air Museum.
Right, flipping pancakes.
Flipping pancakes and all the funds that go to support the Combat Air Museum. But the other thing I want to talk about is we talked about it with the Department of Corrections. And Commissioners, I will be asking that a resolution be added for the next County Commission agenda, where I would ask for your support and consideration of a resolution that, as departments have out-of-state travel, we try to utilize United and Flying Topeka as much as possible and cost-effective. The county has a stake in the success or failure of this flight service. It's taken a number of years to get flights to Topeka, and if we don't support it, even here as a major employer, Shawnee County is a major employer of over 1,000 employees, we should put our money where our mouth is and support Topeka as much as possible. And so I will be proposing legislation or resolution for that purpose. Thank you.
And I look forward to supporting that resolution. Thank you very much. That's a great idea.
I think
Commissioner?
it's just joining others. I know the Chamber is also encouraging large businesses in this community as well, so.
Yeah.
And I do believe that language is currently in our existing travel resolution. That there, I mean, so I don't know, the county council will have to review that. So, not saying you can't put the other resolution in before there, but that has been in there. That resolution has been updated for over years, and that portion of it has never been taken out. You know, even before when we didn't have the services here, but it does say to use the local, and I can double check that, and I'm sure the county councilor will do that as well. So
Absolutely.
it may save you the problem of having to address a new resolution, but just reiterate that that is currently in our that language is already in there.
Very good.
So,
Well, and I've heard a number of times Doug Kinsinger said, contact him or United. They are very willing to work if there's an issue with some scheduling or something. So, yeah. I just had a couple of things. Commissioner Archer and I had we supported the Auburn Washburn Education Foundation breakfast this morning. It was a very nice breakfast. And so we appreciate being invited to that, yes. Warm a blue for the Junior Blues. And then also our sympathies to Barton County, the Barton County Commission, and the unfortunate death of Commissioner Don Cates. So our sympathies to the commission and to his family as well. So
Okay.
that's all I have. And a reminder, no meeting on Monday.
No meeting on Monday. Yes, thank you, Commissioner. I don't have anything else. Next item, please.
Item 6, executive session.
Well, let's take up. Your Honor. So, old habits break hard.
Thank you, sir.
If we could have executive session for personnel matters of non-elected personnel and meeting with attorney-client relations, not to exceed 15 minutes.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller to go into executive session for not more than 15 minutes. No action is anticipated. Motion carries 3-0.